something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate real stories. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. I'm excited tonight because we get to educate you about a different aspect of the criminal justice system. Tonight we talk about the Texas Youth Commission. And you know my goal is to always educate the public through stories. And we're always talking about adult crimes or crimes that are currently going on at the courthouse. But tonight we get to talk to a man by the name of Art Smith that actually spent time in the Texas Youth Commission. That's TYC. That's where young offenders under 17 are sentenced for aggravated or adult type crimes. So I'm excited that we're going to hear a different perspective tonight. And hopefully you'll give us about 15 minutes to go over the facts and circumstances of his case, all the exciting things that he's been doing to correct his behavior, to be a contributor in society, and ask your questions after he finishes his story. So Art, thank you very much for agreeing to tell your story.
Awesome. Thanks for allowing me to be able to come on your show.
So Art Smith, who are you? Tell us who you are, where you're from, how'd you get started, who raised you, and how did you get in trouble at the age of 13?
Well, my name is Art Smith. I'm from Houston, Texas. Born and raised in Fifth Ward, Texas. Grew up on Hardy Street, ran throughout the entire community of Fifth Ward. My mom and my dad, my two brothers and two sisters, was in the house with me. And I just, choose to go down the wrong path. I had a brother that was in my family, and he was always in trouble, but,
Was he older?
Yeah, he was older than me. And I think I kind of followed his footsteps a little bit more than my other brother who didn't get in any trouble.
Were you the number 3 brother?
Yes, I was the number 3 brother, and I had an older sister and I had a younger sister.
Okay.
And, just in our community off of Hardy, it was like, it was always something exciting going on. And, we played sports and did a lot of the schoolyard stuff, but at the same time, a lot of the excitement took place with the younger group of kids my age, wanted to emulate what was going on with the bigger guys. And, they was always more into a lot of action and a lot of hustling and a lot of everything that wasn't good. And that's where I got a lot of, picked up a lot of ways and things of that nature.
Okay, so I guess when you were doing your wrong, it would have been the early 80s. Is that about right?
Yes, it was the early 80s.
Okay, so what kind of hustler were you? Were you like selling dope, shooting dice, stealing? I mean, what was your hustle? I
would say it was more a little bit of everything. I would say tried the dice game, but I don't like to lose, so that didn't work for me. And then mainly it was just getting into just breaking and entering, and just following the big guys on with everything that they was, sometimes it was more than just, being a person on the lookout, while they was doing some of the major stuff. And, a lot of times the trains would always stop in our neighborhood and they'd be out there. I don't know how they was out there for the longest, but the trains would stop and, we would become entrepreneurs when they would stop the railroad because we would go on there. They would have double mint gum, Fifth Avenue candy bar, everything that you can name, And then a lot of the times a lot of the cars, I tell my wife and I tell people all the time, I say, I think when they invented these rail cars that you can't not get in now, well, we used to go in there and take all of the hubcaps out of the brand new cars and
oh, wow.
Right down the street off of Johnson and Collinsworth, they had a resale shop. So that's what we was doing, a lot of that, just anything that wasn't of goodness, and all the time trying to keep this away from mom and dad, you know, because they wasn't with none of that. They didn't bring us up like that.
But what about drugs? Was it the drug game going on in the street then?
Yeah, it was. At that time, you know, it just kind of started out as smoking weed, and then from there, trying some other stuff. And at the time, it was the major thing that I was involved in was like just Lovely, which is now considered, you know, well, it's called it Lovely and Sherm, but now they considered it wet or either PCP, stuff like that. I had my whole run of doing that, and at the same time, even though I was the youngest one in the group, 11, 12, you know, 13, I always had, you know, a ghetto pass to run with the older guys, 17, 18, 19, and a lot of my other friends of my age around that time, they never did get a chance to run with the older guys. They allowed me to run with them though, you know.
So were there actual gangs back then when you were a kid? You know, gangs like they call them now, because it doesn't sound like it from the way you're describing it.
Well, you know, later on in life, I kind of looked at it and seen what the society in today's time considered gangs.
Right.
And if in today's time they consider gangs what the definition is now, I would say it was a gang. But it was really just homeboys. But
right.
It was so many
when we
of
were
us.
young, it was more neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Neighborhoods stuck together, 5th
Yeah.
Ward, 3rd Ward,
Yeah.
but not, you know, a gang with a name where you branded yourself or you tattooed yourself, nothing like that. Just you hung with your homeboys in your community. But it was no, doing what you were doing, there was no initiation process.
No, it wasn't no initiation, but I wouldn't say it was an initiation where it was an individual initiation, but there were tests that we went through to try to see what you was made of, to see if you was going to be somebody that was going to be a rat, see that you was going to be somebody that was going to be strong. So the older guys had their own way of trying that out, but you know, one of the things that was a little bit different from our community was the name, the Hardy Boys. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in today's time, the Hardy Boys are still around, but this is something that's been around since the 40s and the 50s. So that was always our tagline, you know.
Because y'all on Hardy Street, y'all were the Hardy Boys.
That's right. But it was something that had been around before I was born in 1969. That was something that was already around. So we kind of wore that, you know, with a badge of honor, and it's a very serious thing.
Did y'all tattoo yourself with Hardy Boys?
Oh yeah, I mean
back then, not when you were 13 though.
Well,
right?
no, a lot of the guys put, you know, Hardy Street, the Hardy Boys. There was some tattooing going on, but the only thing I ever got was just Smitty and Art on my arm, you know. But I didn't get that until I got to Giddings, you know.
Well, let's talk about how you got to Giddings. So tell me what happened. You went to TYC. Now, were you in trouble with juvenile many times before you actually got up to TYC?
Yeah, stealing bikes, you know, just committing a lot of petty crimes. I've, you know, in and out of juvenile, as far as going on West Dallas. Okay. You know, down in West Dallas at the Harris County Juvenile Detention Center, probably 5, 6, 7 times, something like that.
So starting at 11, maybe?
Yeah.
12?
I would say 11, 12. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
how did you feel about your parents having to pick you up from Dallas at 11 to 12? Can you remember back that far?
Yeah, I think a lot of the scapegoat that I used was, you know, my mom would always point to my big brother and say, you leading your brother down the wrong road. This is I don't want you running with your big brother, you know. So that kind of helped out a little bit, but a lot of it was just my sneakiness and, you know, trying to keep everything away from my parents, okay, which was not easy.
Talk about the big one.
Well, you know, being under the influence of alcohol and drugs, and you know, me and an older guy that was with me one particular day, you know, we was really in the process of trying to rob an individual. And
was it someone you knew that you were trying to rob?
No, it wasn't someone that I knew.
Was it in 5th Ward? Was it in your neighborhood?
Yeah, it was off of Hardy Street.
So black on black crime, you about to dog somebody in your own neighborhood, huh?
Yeah, well, it was pretty much that, and then, you know,
man or woman?
It was a male. Okay. And it didn't really go right, and the guy was, you know, pretty much trying to get away, and then I ended up, you know, having a firearm on me at this particular time, and ended up shooting the guy trying to rob, you know, and I ended up shooting him 2 times, you know, and at that particular time, you know, when we had left the scene, you know, we had got away, well, we thought we had got away, but we had went to another location, and probably about 2 hours later, when we left a particular house, you know, in the community, you know, it was probably like about 15 cars of laws, like just looking for us. And that's how we ended up getting caught. And I had the gun on me, and my buddy tried to take the case. And he was like, man, I got to say that I shot the guy. I was like, nah, man.
Why was he gonna do that?
Because he was more concerned about my big brother being mad at him and more concerned about my mom and dad being mad at him.
Was he older?
Yeah, he was older than me. I was 13, he was 17.
Okay.
And then after that, they took us down to juvenile, and I ain't never get out. I thought when I said I'm gonna take the case, I was like, man, I'll be home. I'm a juvenile. That didn't work like that. They got me down there, and
what happened?
After that, I went to the detention center off of West Dallas. I was there for like, you know, I guess like about a month, and then.
So you were 13.
Yes.
So you were born in 69. So this is 81, 82.
82.
82.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on West Dallas, and what? Can you remember what you were thinking? Like, I'm going home? What you kept doing? I know you got a court-appointed lawyer probably.
Yes.
And you kept asking them, when am I going home? When am I going home?
Yeah, I was like, okay, hey, man, you know, when my mom and them gonna come, you know, pick me up from here, man? They was like, no, you got to wait before you go to court. And I was, to be honest, I was so drunk and I was so high. So when I came down from that, you know what I'm saying, I was aware of what had happened, but I was just so drunk and high. So after I came down from that, my main thing was, you know, when y'all gonna call my mom and them, when they gonna come down here? Mm-hmm. But then they was like, man, you got no bond. You ain't getting out. You know, your mom and them can't come get you. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up going to court several times in in that month. And then when I went before the judge, Judge Robert Baum, you know, he had told me, well, basically, you know, one of the things that I can say at that particular time, that's when I received my first Bible. My first Bible that was mine, and I was able to put my name in it. And I read the Bible a lot, and it really helped me kind of like, you know, zero in on some different perspective on, you know, the older guys was, you know, Bible reading. But when we went before the judge, and the judge stood up, and he said, you know what, by this being your first time, it sounded so good. He said, by this being your first time, what I'm gonna do for you, I'm gonna send you to TYC. And I was looking like, man, what is this about? You know, and then after that, you know.
Did he tell you how long he was sending you to TYC?
No, I actually thought I was gonna be there for 6 months, but when you go to Giddings, which is the worst place you can send a juvenile in the state of Texas, you have to actually be there for 12 months before you can even think about coming home, you know. Mm-hmm. So probably about a week after my sentencing, they sent me up to Brownwood, Texas, like 600 miles from here. We left the juvenile probably like 5 in the morning, all in a chain gang, and headed up there. And you know, like I said, the whole while I was in the juvenile, I was the youngest. Even there, I was the youngest one on the whole wing. You know.
Now you were young and you wanted to go home, but let me just have one statement about the complainant or the victim. Were you concerned at all about if they lived, if they died?
Yeah.
Tell me how you felt about that. At that age, at 13. I know it's totally different now at 45, mm-hmm. but how did you feel at 13 knowing you shot somebody twice, sobered up? Yeah. So how were you concerned at all?
The first thing that I asked my mom was, did the person die? Mm-hmm. And then she told me, no, the person didn't die. You know, and that made me feel a whole lot better, to be honest. God honest truth. That made me feel a whole lot better when I found out that the person didn't die. So then I was like, okay, expecting to see the person in court and stuff like that, but they didn't never show up, you know, stuff like that.
So did the person get paralyzed? Were they able to walk or recover? Do you know anything?
I never heard anything else from the person.
Your lawyers didn't tell you? Your mother didn't tell you?
No. After I left, like I said, I didn't even know who the person was. So after I left and went to the state school, I never heard or seen from the person ever. So
do you think you were the youngest there because you were the youngest person who had shot somebody at that time? Or I mean, why were you the youngest person? Because I know back then it wasn't as many juvenile shootings, you know, like 13-year-olds shooting people, but there were some. Yeah. So tell me about that.
Well, you know, when I was there, some of the concerns that I had was that they was going to try me as an adult because they was like, you know, there was a lot of jailhouse talk going on, and they was like, you know, man, they might try you they might certify you. The whole big thing was being certified as an adult. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, what does that mean? They was like, well, man, that means...
I bet you were really little at 13.
Yeah,
you
I was
that
a lot
tall
smaller.
Now. Yeah. How big were you? I mean, you probably looked like you were about 9 or 10.
Yeah, I was probably about 5'3" or something, 5'4" or something.
How tall are you now?
5'7".
That's what I'm saying. You're not that much taller.
You know.
So you sure you were that tall? You might have been
Maybe.
5'2".
Yeah, probably.
And you probably didn't weigh but 120 pounds.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about right.
I mean, you must have been really little.
Yeah, but I had lost respect for human life.
And how did you lose respect for human life when you had a mother and a father and siblings, and I mean, what made you lose respect?
Well, I lost respect for human life because, to be honest, the environment and the folks that I was running with, they ain't had no respect for human life. So it was almost like, killing was not a major thing,
But why did you respect them or learn their disrespectful traits more than the people who were clothing you and feeding you and loving you in your household? Why did you let the streets have more influence than the family?
Well, it was basically because just I would say the excitement.
Okay.
The excitement and the living on the edge. It was a lot of times.
And getting high too, that altered
Yeah,
thinking.
definitely. And it was a lot of times when we were doing things that we would sit down and have a conversation. Well, man, we finna get ready to go over here and do this. Now, if everybody don't make it back, man, we ain't doing no snitching. So we already, it was a lot of times that we would do different things, and we knew that it was life or death. That we may not make it back.
Wow.
But one of the things that kind of shocked me, to be honest, was I don't know who it was that said it, but it was some adults. So I think I was probably about 11, and I heard them having a conversation about me when I was at James D. Ryan Elementary. And one of the things that I heard them say was, he'll be dead by the time he turned 15.
Oh, wow. You were that bad.
Yeah, so when I heard that, Miss King, to be honest, this may not sound for real, but everything I'm going to tell you is going to be 100% for real. But when I heard that, I actually kind of like sped my lifespan up.
Wow.
It was like I was trying to get everything done before 15.
Because you thought that was a prophecy.
Oh, I thought that was for sure. Because the person, whoever said it, it was like...
it was an authority figure. So
most definitely.
He's going to be dead by 15.
Yeah, they say he'd be dead by 15. So, I mean, I was in trouble. I was in the principal office every day. Every day. And I'm telling you, my mom and them, my mom and my dad, they put some whoopings on me. it wasn't no scapegoat as far as that. If they gonna say, if I was to sit there and say, well, my lack of discipline, my lack of, no, it was some whoopings that lasted, and then after a time, it was just straight rebellious, and that's pretty much it. I just, and like I said, when I was out there doing what I was doing, I had no fear for nothing, nothing on the planet. I never had no fear, and like I said, the underlying was, I'm gonna be dead before 15, so let me do all what I'm gonna get done. By the time I hit 15, I was like, man, I done made it to 15. And that's when I really realized, okay, whoever told me that, it was a lie. But I had believed it up until that point.
It's amazing what a child, what influences a child's thought
it's no
process.
doubt. It's
So
no
you
doubt.
really, that means us adults really have to watch what we say to children.
Yes.
And around children and about children, even children who are misbehaving.
Yes.
Because they take that to heart.
Oh, it's no doubt. I took it to heart, and that's why I tell people all the time, in today's time when I talk to individuals and I talk to parents, I got a lot of different parents and aunts or guardians that reach out to me. They say, hey, all right, man, we heard and we know about your past. I want you to talk to my nephew. I want you to talk to my son. Give him, I say, well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I say, I'm going to keep it. It's not going to be scared straight. I say, I'm going to do everything but curse. But I'm going to give it to him rough, rugged, and raw. I'm going to give him the real, you know what I'm saying? Even though when I was in the state school, there was guys down there being, raped and stuff like that. But, I just didn't have no fear. So, I had a lot of fights. Can't sit here and say that I won all of them, but I can honestly say that I wasn't scared of nothing on the campus. And
wow. Now, in recent times, there have been talk of how deplorable the conditions are at Texas Youth Commission, how the kids were raped, how the adults in charge of them raped them, sold them, just disrespected the children, never tried to teach them anything. Now, that was in the new millennium, in the 2009, 10, 11, 12, but you were there in 1982. Now, I'm sure it wasn't as bad then, but it still had to be bad.
Yeah.
So tell me about the bad stuff that happened there. I mean, like, was it drugs being, were the adults bringing drugs into the Texas Youth Commission, into Giddings?
Well, it was some drugs being.
How'd they get there?
It was some drugs being, brought on the campus. We had a couple of different individuals, like in the wood shop. We would have one of our, peers on the campus that would be cool with an individual that was seeking, sliding them drugs.
But the person that was sliding it to him was actually an authority figure, right?
Oh, yeah, they was employees.
The employees of Texas Youth Commission.
Yeah, and they would, and then...
And were the guys, and were people having sex with the teachers?
Well, I didn't hear too much of the sex with, staff on student, because it was only like maybe about 35 females on the entire campus out of maybe 400 kids. But so I didn't hear no male on male stuff like that, dealing with the authority figures.
But what about the raping of kids? I mean, people hear about that a lot. So
that was happening with inmates on inmates.
Kids on kids.
Kids on kids.
So you being young and small, how did you have to fight for your manhood?
Yeah, well, to be honest, when I walked through the dorm, they basically told us like this. They say, man, when you go in there to the dorm, they say, don't look in the cafeteria because everybody gonna want to fight you. And I was like, man, I'm not gonna be walking with my head down. And they was like, oh, you want to be one of them bad Negroes? Okay, when you go in there, you gonna find out what's happening. As I walked through the door for the first time in the cafeteria, by the time they had told us all these horror stories.
Who told you that? Other inmates?
The inmates because when you get there, you go to an intake cottage for 30 days. And then after the intake cottage, the rest of your time, you go and, spend, on different dorms, on different cottages, what they call them. So as I was walking in, I was looking around. They told us not to look around. Some was walking in scared with their head down. So by the time I got to the front, it was a 2B. They was actually running the entire campus on the left side. 5A ran the entire campus on the other side.
Now, what's 2B and 5A mean?
2B is a cottage.
Okay.
2A is the intake cottage at that time. 2B was a cottage. So you had 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, all the way down to 8A and 8B.
Okay.
So as I walked through the line and went around the front, there was this real big old guy. He kept staring at me, And I was like, man, what's up with this dude, So he said, hey, man, you little biscuit, which he was referring to my brother. And I said, yeah. And he said, man, what you in here for, man? I said, aggravated assault, attempted murder, and he was like, what? So by that time, I went and sat down, and him and about 4 big old guys came over to the table, and he was like showing me who he was, introducing them to me. And so several of the guys that were just telling us, man, keep your head down. They was like, say, man, you know D? And I was like, they say, man, you from Fifth Ward? And I was like, yeah. Man, you know D? And I was like, yeah, he.
And that D is the big dude?
Yeah. And he was like, I said, well, he know my brother. And I said, I know him. I said, I don't know him. He mentioned my brother's name. And one of the guys was like, man, if you know D, man, you ain't got nothing to worry about. They run the whole campus, man. And that kind of helped out a lot. You know what I'm saying? And then from there,
Well, he was a big dude. How old was he, do you think?
He was 17.
Oh, okay. It was time for him to get his butt out of there.
Yeah, but these guys they had some dudes in there that was like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5".
Wow.
And these boys they was working out on steel weights. It was serious. They was comparing Giddings to Ferguson Penitentiary at the time.
And where's Ferguson Penitentiary?
I don't know where Ferguson.
In Texas, though, right?
It's in Texas. And
I don't hear that.
Ferguson is one of the more like for the young adult, 18 and up. That's when everybody was. So if you get in trouble on Giddings campus back then, they would always scare you and say, man, you're going to end up in Ferguson. You end up in Ferguson, And so that's kind of like how that happened on the campus. And, I was always, into so much trouble because they had a lot of riots. We had a lot of riots where we have lockdowns where we'll sit in the hard chairs for hours.
Now, why would y'all riot? Because
just beefing on the campus and, they used to always talk about pressure a lot, just talking about the actual pressure. Pressure to us in 82 and 83 would be a terminology right now as bullying.
Okay.
But it wasn't used bullying. It was called pressure. Okay. Something happened, man, that guy got pressure on you. Well, stand up and fight him then, Okay. So it was a lot of, things being put to the test on that level.
Okay, so you had to have a lot of fights.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wasn't fighting nobody my age because I was the youngest on the campus.
Wow.
But I played basketball. That was another thing that kind of made me stand out because of my athletic ability. and I was too young to get paid, so I did a lot of volunteering at the gym. And I was the only one that, at the certain time the campus get locked down, I was the only one that be in there in the gym, you know, actually sweeping and cleaning up, you know, at the facility, and get a chance. It was pretty cool to be able to walk at night, and everybody was in their dorm, couldn't come out. I'm one of the last ones, and it was a 24-hour maximum security, and it's still a maximum security right now. I think the gate around Giddings is probably like about 20 foot tall or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But I learned a lot as far as responsibilities. I got a chance to go and work on different farms, and I was able to be on the basketball traveling team. I even have a trophy. I wish I would have bought it, but the trophy that I won was from 1983 in a dime box tournament. I was 14 and won a trophy in a juvenile tournament. So, you know, it was like I was 7th, 8th grade equivalent, but at the same time, I was 7th grade equivalent to out here, but I was playing in a 10th grade tournament. And but my skills was very advanced. You know, they was like, man, when you go home, what grade you gonna be? I said, I'm being 8th grade. They was like, man, you gonna go pro. So one of the guys from Dallas pulled me to the side one day, and he knew Spud well personally. And he actually took me to the library and showed me. He said, man, this guy right here, you and him, y'all remind me of each other.
Spud was the shortest person in
yeah, and he was from Dallas,
okay.
and I think he told me Spud was at like Wilma Hutchinson High School, and he said, man, you and this guy remind me of each other. He said, man, have you ever heard of Spud Well? I said, nope. So he took me to the library and showed me a book on Spud Well.
Wow.
But I was playing above the rim with, you know, 2 hands and stuff like that. So my game was very advanced because I was spending a lot of times, you know, in the community, in the hood, you know.
Right.
Playing ball.
Right, right. So tell me how you survived. How many years did you have to stay in TYC?
I was only there 14 and a half months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so tell me about, did you ever see anybody get killed or hurt or anything there? How did they control the violence there?
They had, with the maximum security, when you was in the dormitory, if you had problems, then they had a place, security inside the campus, but it was like steel doors. So if you was just always a super troublemaker, they would take you off the dorm and put you in a solitary in the cells. So, but it was a lot of fights.
Hold that thought for me, Art.
Okay.
I see that I have a caller. Caller, you're on Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Please turn your volume down on your TV and talk directly into your phone.
All right. Good evening, Vivian and
Hey.
bruh.
Hey, good evening.
I just want to commend you on giving your story. Me and you about the same age. I'm from Chicago, and I kind of had some of the similar. I never got locked up, but as a kid, I was running with a lot of older guys, and you know what I mean, was doing a lot of things and this and that nature. But by the grace of the Creator, I got out of the city, went to another state, went to Michigan. And, you know, got my stuff together. Even though when I was in Michigan, I was bringing some of that Chicago stuff. But since it was, you know, it was slow, it slowed me down and got me on the right pace.
Yeah.
My question to you is, bro, you know, back, and we the same, I'm 47, you say you're about 45, so we were around the same. I was born in 67, so he was born in 69. So our age group coming up in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? Like in 80, I was like 12 years old. And I was doing a lot of things at 12 years old. I was drinking and smoking and all that stuff, too.
Yeah.
My question to you is, bro, how do you think about and feel? Because our generation come up with the rap and hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? Before our generation, wasn't no rap and no hip-hop. So when we, you know, at our age was the ones who actually lived the you know, when crack jumped off. We was the ones who was teenagers and seeing all this stuff and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you feel like the youngsters today, man, that come from like good parent homes who was like good kids, and do you think that, you know, that the music has influenced these kids and got them extra tough when that really ain't their life? They really ain't about it, but then they get caught up, you know what I'm saying, in the system and all that stuff. So I just want to get your perspective on that. All right, peace.
Thank you.
Well, what I would say about that, brother, appreciate the call, man. What I would say about that is, you know, people are always talking about keeping it real. But before you can keep it real, you got to be real.
Right.
And so my thing has if I got a pair of regular shoes on, that's what I have on. I've never allowed my material or my money or my assets to represent who I am. So you can always get the natural and the real me. Right about now, I think what's happening is, you know, a lot of the youth in today's time, they don't live exactly what is going on in their life. It's all about a facade. It's all about, I'm gonna put on my best gear, my best chain, my best clothes, and I'm gonna go on Facebook. I'm gonna put on my best this, my best that, and I'm gonna show an image of something that's really not there. And I just think that it has a lot to do with just the society now is more focused on the phoniness of the game versus what's being real in what's happening. So, you know, I always tell youth that, and I tell everybody, I say, man, it's not about what you wear, it's about who's wearing it. And I tell my kids all the time, I say, hey, look, man, you can get a guy with a Jordan, he can have the best everything on. Man, give me a pair of Chucks and a pair of jeans, and I can walk in the room, and the confidence of my intelligence is gonna shine way brighter than anybody. So that's what I would say. You know, I just feel that our youth today are not being told what's real. But at the same time, my brother, to be direct with what you just asked, the bottom line is our parents, our age group, those that are older than us, they talk about all they good stuff. They never let our youth know what's in the genetics. I'm not gonna hide from my kids that I made a bunch of, you know, moves that wasn't sharp.
Right.
You know, because I want them to show, I want to show them the real genes. I don't want them saying, man, why I keep messing up? Man, that's cause your old man was messing up. But if I tell them the real, and I think that in society, Ms. King, I think that if more individuals that are doctors, lawyers, preachers, teachers,
Right.
if they would just say, hey, man, look, I didn't always have it together.
Right.
And I think that would bring in the mindset of the youth and be able to say, so mama, you used to cut up? Yeah, before I got my stuff together.
Right.
And I think more dialogue like that would let our youth know that, hey man, you know, I'm not gonna give up on you. I'm gonna always believe in you. You know, I had family and friends that gave up on me, that say, man, I done talked to Art, he ain't gonna do right, man. He just gonna keep doing the same old thing. But there was brothers in the hood that didn't give up on me. That know, hey, Art, man, the streets raised you, man. Don't worry about what your family did or what the friends or what this. The streets raised you, man. You know, so I always look back on those who never gave up on me. And the main thing of the subject that I want to make sure I, you know, get across is never give up on your kids because you don't know all what God have wrapped up in them. And never choose the kid who you feel that's going to be the one that's going to be on the straight and narrow, because I always had a mindset that out of all my kids, my 7 boys, you know, well, one of them is stillborn. He's in heaven already. But out of my 6 boys, I always kept it neutral with them. I never put one before the other because I always had the mindset that the one that I put before the other is going to be the first one God call home. So I always have an unconditional love for all of my kids. But it's all about being transparent. In 5th Ward, I drive a 1988 Suburban. Don't have no paint on it, none of that. But my wife and I, we've been together 23 years. And I keep it real. I ain't around here fronting and riding and trying to act like more. I'm not putting my energy, I'm putting my energy in what's gonna help me be able to have a peace of mind. I don't want no stress on me because it ain't do nothing but lead you to an early death, you know?
Right.
So, you know, my days in Giddings, I tell people all the time, if I didn't go to Giddings, I'm not sitting here 1 gazillion%. This is what I know, because this is where my mindset changed. And
Now, how did Giddings change for you? How did it change you and make you want to get on the right path? Because that's what TYC should do.
Yeah.
So it worked for you.
Yeah.
And why? Tell me why it worked for you.
Well, it worked for me because it was always the underlining factor of the minimum that I got to give these people and give the state is 12 months. But I still got out, did my still, you know, I'm not all the way.
Right.
The respect for life is kind of there, but I'm still doing my thing. I'm still robbing and I'm still hustling and carjacking and stealing cars and, you know, always on the caper to try to get, you know, one big pay. And, you know, I was a freshman at Phyllis Wheeler High School on the basketball team.
Out of TYC.
Out of TYC, but I'm on parole for 4 years. So I got to check in every 2 weeks. Okay, so this one particular night, we decided I challenged the older guys that I was with. I said, man, we're gonna go get us a hot shot, which is a stolen car. They was like, man, I don't know how to do it, Lord. I say, man, don't worry about it. Just give me the biggest screwdriver you got in your house, and we gone. We walked from 5th Ward, went down to the Harris County parking lot where you go and visit folks. It's a courtroom now, but it was a jail right there on Franklin. So they was like, I said, man, there go the car we gonna get, man. And after that, after we gonna go to the game, we gonna go get high and we gonna go hustle and get us some money, man. So we actually stole a car, but I challenged them. We actually stole a car off the parking lot of the jail. Now, as we was rolling, going up York and then headed to Navigation, we was going to the basketball game. We smoking, getting high. This particular light didn't turn right. It turned too quick.
All right.
Before you know it, I say, oh, man, here come the law.
Oh, Lord.
I say, look, man, I say, man, I'm not finna stop.
Oh, Lord. All right.
They say, all right, man. I say, man, y'all hold on. I say, man, we finna go.
Oh,
so as the law hit the lights, I was 15. They was both 17. As the law hit the red lights, I'm gone.
Oh, Lord.
We in a high-speed chase, up and down Navigation, up and down Harrisburg, the whole nine. When I would turn in the corner, Miss King, I got one hand on the steering wheel. I'm opening the door.
Oh,
they
Lord.
in the back seat saying, "Oh, don't give us up, don't give us up." We gone. So every time I hit the block, I hit one block, I say, man, this the block we getting out on. I had shook the law for probably about 2 blocks. Well, when I turned on this particular block, it was a power line back there, gates.
Lord.
So when we came back up on Navigation, short story, it was like 15, it looked like Christmas. It was like 15. I say, man, we busted, man. It's too many of them. So as I pulled over, got out, the law snatched us out the car. My buddy jumped out trying to run. And one of them was like 6'5", the other one was like 6'2". So when we got out, the laws grabbed us. I made sure I pulled in an area where it was a bunch of houses, hoping that the laws, I know they was gonna whoop us, but you know.
You didn't want to get killed.
Yeah, that's right.
You know they're gonna whoop that ass.
Yeah, I know,
so
I know.
It.
So
Yeah,
when we jumped out the car, they grabbed me, slammed me to the ground, picked me up, and you know, they put me in handcuffs. So I'm standing there with the handcuffs and 2 of the laws. One of them came over with the flashlight, started hitting me in my balls, and you know, I'm like trying to put my legs together to keep from hitting me. And then this female law, she's like, who is the driver? I said, I'm the driver. She's talking about, you ain't the driver, quit lying. How old are you? I say, 15. How old are the guys? I said, I don't know how old they are. And then she found out their age. So she was real tough law. She say, get in the car. You better show me how to crank this thing up. So I'm in the back seat telling her, ma'am, I took the screwdriver, put it right here, peeled all that off, put the ring, broke it, and the steering wheel went free, and I'm gone. So then they put me in the back seat of the car. So now we headed to the jailhouse. While we headed to the jail, my buddy's in the back seat. One law pull up on the side. He said, I got something. They was like, what? It's like, the guy 17, he said he was the driver. I'm in the backseat like this, man, you ain't the driver, I'm the driver, you know. So we end up getting downtown and high-speed chase, 15 cars allowed. So we downtown, somewhere down there off of Franklin and at a substation. The law sat down. This is true story, Ms. King. The law sat down. He said, hey, man, who's the driver, man? I said, man, I was the driver. This white law told me like this here. He said, hey, man, you see the palm of my hand? I said, yes, sir. He said, now I'm finna ask you who the driver is again. And if you don't tell me that those guys were the driver and you want the driver, I'm finna slap you in your mouth. So now in my mind, I'm saying, man, on Harder Street, you rat, you dead. Right. 100%. Right. Hands down. Friend on friend, it don't matter. So I'm like, man, well, maybe I can just tell him this here, and when I get to court where the judge at and the laws, I can, you know, in the courtroom, I can get.
Right, because you just ain't trying to get slapped. Yeah,
right. Here, I'm like,
go get your butt whipped.
So he say, now I'm finna ask you again, who was the driver? I say, man, one of them was the driver. And when I said that, the law picked me up, took me to jail, and after that, you know, I end up, you know, confessing once I got in there and told my statement that I was the driver, but that's what I said from that standpoint. So Now, to fast forward to that, Ms. King, we had just won the city championship for the Phyllis Wheeler basketball. Undefeated, 14-0. So while I'm in jail, I tell one of the jailers, I say, hey, man, bring me the forward times. They say, for what? I say, we on the front cover of the sports section. They say, for what? I say, man, Phyllis Wheeler, we just won the city champs, undefeated. I'm one of the stars on the team. I had 21 points in the championship game. We won by 1 point.
Had you really been in that game?
Yes.
So
yeah.
when was that, the week before you got in trouble?
Yeah, it was the week before I got in trouble. So the guy say, yeah, right, you ain't in no forward time with the Phyllis Wheeler Wildcats. I say, for real, man. So the man come back the next day, and he come to my jail cell. He say, man, what the hell are you doing in here, man? He actually saw me in the picture. So I'm sitting in jail for like 3-4 days, and so now my parole officer, Miss Mary Guerrero, that's an angel to me because I knew I was going back to Giddens. When I did that, I was definitely going back to Giddens.
You supposed to go back to Giddens.
I know it. Miss Mary Guerrero, she came down, she say, Art, if you get in any more trouble, I'm going to use this against you. She say, I say, just give me a chance, Miss Mary. And I told her, I said, I'm going to get out here, I'm going to do the right thing. When I gave her my word, that's when things really, because I did not want to let her down. I already let my mom down. My mom down there crying, you know, and I told my mom,
crying, wanted to beat your ass. Yeah, I know I would have.
Yeah, I said, if I get out of here, I'm going to kiss the ground. I got out of there, I kissed the ground. And
she let you out after all that?
She let me go. She let me go. She chose not to send me back to Giddens. And this was in 85. And when we won the championship.
What's her name? Mary what?
Mary Guerrero. She's with the Houston parole juvenile right to this day.
Wow.
Because my wife and I, we met her. I tracked her down. I hadn't seen her in like 20-some years. And keep in mind, Ms. King, I've been home like 32 years, and I don't have a dope criminal record at all.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yes, ma'am. And in 2011, I went to the...
well, let's take, wait. Okay, before we get there, I love it. Okay. But so when you told Miss Mary Guerrero, if you just let me out of here...
Just give me a chance.
Give me a chance at 15, I'm going to stop messing up.
I'm going to stop messing up.
So how...
I did that.
You know you wasn't ready.
To a certain degree.
You wasn't ready?
To a certain degree.
At 15?
But I did tone a whole lot down.
Okay.
And then after that, I kind of like just probably got more into just, you know, heavy drug dealing.
Okay.
Heavy drug dealing, you know. But I was like a major runner for, you know, some of my buddies that's dead and gone right now. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but I was big on the scene of being a major runner. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for his wholesaling, that's all I really dealt with. I didn't deal with no, you know, rock for rock on the block. When crack came to town in 85, 86, you know what I'm saying? It was a major thing, and I was, you know, a key player in my community, you know what I'm saying? And so after that, I just kind of scaled back and didn't get into too much crazy stuff, no violent stuff, just, you know, I still had a bunch of guns around me, you know what I'm saying, all the time, you know.
How'd you keep, some people think that when a kid shoots somebody or anyone shoots someone, that they become bloodthirsty. How'd you avoid violent situations or shooting somebody or getting shot? Have you ever been shot?
No, I haven't been shot. Been shot at several times.
Okay, how did you avoid the gunplay after that?
I think I avoided the gunplay due to the fact that it was on the street in my community that, man, Art gonna shoot that pistol, man, and he not gonna play. So all the older guys, younger guys, they already knew. You know, it was like I really was living like I ain't had nothing to live for anyway. So with that resonated with the older guys. It was not no one in my community that was doing it all. Didn't have a problem with Art ain't gonna snitch, Art ain't gonna rat, but if it's something big going down,
he will shoot you.
Oh, it's no doubt. So that, I think I kind of avoided a lot of drama.
Because nobody came to you with drama.
Yeah, because they knew that I was one of the ones that didn't have nothing to live for, didn't care nothing about, you know, shooting, didn't care nothing about killing, living, dying, none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had, you know, lost respect for human life, but a lot of the stuff that I'd already done as a youth, you know what I'm saying? It's like people would see me and they didn't know that I had already changed as far as like I'm scaling back, but they still would see me and I would be looking the same. So they like, man, that's, even in today's time, people still think I'm doing stupid stuff. I'm not.
Right. So how did you conform to married life? You've been with the same lady for 23 years, married for 17 years. Yes. How did you conform to that type of discipline?
Well, I just, like a couple of the females that I had been involved with prior to meeting my wife, you know, 3-4 years here, 3-4 years there. So I was kind of like scaling all the way back. And then, you know, I was just in prayer. You know, I always, one thing I can tell you, Miss King, is when I was out there, I never went and asked God for forgiveness for something that I knew I was going to do the next day. That may sound crazy, but I only asked God for forgiveness for something that I knew that I was going to be looking to correct.
Okay.
If I knew I was going to be still doing this and trying to take something, I ain't asked God for forgiveness. I was willing to take whatever he brought to me, you know, my way. So, and, you know, with that being said, you know, it was a young lady that I was dating, and she said, man, you got all these college coaches calling and looking for you, and you out here selling all this dope. She said, I ain't interested in all that money you got. Won't you go to college and make some money to say, you got all these college coaches. So Coach Jackie B. Carr had talked to Coach Thompson. Coach Thompson talked to him and said, Mr. Carr want to talk to you, the legendary Phyllis Wheeler coach, Jackie Carr. So he said, Coach want to talk to you. So Coach said, hey, man, I'm going to help you get in school. And he made a phone call to Coach Alvin Brooks at then Phyllis Wheeler alumni, who was the coach at U of H. They made a couple of calls, and that's how I got off the streets as far as just getting up out of here and going to college. And that was in the January of 1990. Prior to that, in December of 89 was like my last dirty month from using drugs and dealing drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I just prayed, you know, for asking God to stop me from using the cocaine and, you know, smoking sherm, just everything. You know, I prayed and asked him to just remove it from me. And he answered my prayers. So then I ended up in school, and Mr. Carr told me, say, well, Smith, if you don't go down there and make the team, what you gonna do? I say, Coach, I'm gonna stay in school. He said, what if you don't make the team? I say, Coach, as long as I got some scholarship money and stuff going on, I'm gonna stay in school. I say, I'm not coming back without my degree. And I kept my word, and I have a 2-year degree in science psychology. So one summer, when I came home from the break, you know, I went to the barbershop right across.
What school were you at?
I was at Southwestern Christian Junior College, up in Terrell, Texas, the same neighborhood where Jamie Foxx grew up at. So I would hear all these guys come to the campus and tell us all the Jamie Foxx stories and stuff. So I came home for the summer, and I ended up in this play called Crack the Long Way Home. And I had a lot of major roles in that play.
Now, the play was here in Houston?
Yes, ma'am. It was at Texas Southern at Hannah Hall. We did 2 shows.
Now, who asked you to be in it? How did you get involved with that?
My cousin, Gail Pointer, she was the writer of the show. And Paul Richard, who is a teacher at Phyllis Wheeler right now, he was the head over the show. And so I ended up, you know, playing maybe like 4 or 5 different roles in that show. And we did 2 shows. So that summer, I went to go get a haircut. I told my cousin named Frida Book, I said, Cuz, I need to borrow some money to get a haircut. She said, how much you need, Cuz? I said, I need $10. And so she dropped me off at the barbershop, at Stacy's Barbershop across from Finnegan. So I'm in there in the barbershop, and so I'm standing up and I'm looking. So Stacy said, come on, man, let me cut your hair. Me, him, and Agent Hamburger was in there. So I saw this young lady coming from like Coke Street. She's like about a block away. So I'm sitting in the chair, but I kept looking this way. So I said, man, who is that little old chick right there? And Stacy was like, all right, man, you got to wait till she get closer. Man, we can't see way down there, man. So as he got the cape on, he just not starting to, you know, get me, you know, trimmed up. So I kept turning my head, and he kept doing like this. So when they noticed who she was, they say, ah, man, that's the old girl, man. I say, well, who is she? They say, man, she stay in Coke Apartment, the projects. I say, nah, man, that girl don't stay over there. I ain't never seen that girl. So then, these are the words that God put in my mouth. I said, man, put the haircut on hold, let me go get this girl. So Adrian and Stacy say, man, you wasting your time. That girl ain't gonna look over here. She ain't gonna wave. She ain't gonna speak. She don't talk to nobody. So as I got up out the chair, he said, I'm telling you, wasting your time. But I had on a T-shirt, white T-shirt, blue ink, and it said Southwestern Christian College. So as I walked out, I still remember the day, Miss King. It was August the 8th, 1992. So as I walked out, she was over there headed towards the store. So I say, excuse me, y'all going to the store? So her and the young lady started laughing. So I thought they was laughing, like making jokes of me. So then so I walked on up and say, hey, how you doing? And she was like, hey. And I talked to her, I say, you got a boyfriend? She was like, yeah. I said, where you at? She said, oh, here's his cousin. I said, okay. I said, well, let me ask you this here. I say, are you in love? She said, no. The sirens went off in my head, Miss King. She said, no, I ain't in love. I said, okay. I said, come on, let me open the door for you in this store. And by this time, just by me having one word with her, Stacy and Adrian had closed the barbershop down and followed me to the store. So they was on the other aisles looking like, I know he ain't talking to this girl. So they was like hiding. So we was talking, and she gave me a number. Well, I said, my name Arthur, baby. I said, not Arthur, baby, but my name Arthur. So that put a smile on her face. And I said, well, can I have your number? She said, well, you don't even have a pen. How you gonna ask me for my number? I said, well, I don't need a pen. I got a good memory. So she gave me the number 713-673-2211. And she said it like that. I remember. So the whole while I'm talking to her, it's going back in my head. So by the time we walk back, Miss King, she walking back to the projects. So I runs into the barbershop. I say, give me a pen, give me a pen. They say, for what? I say, man, she gave me a number. They say, man, you lying, Art, man. She ain't gave you a number. They say, so agent said, man, give him a pen, man. She gave him the fake number. And that kind of challenged my manhood. So I already knew she was still walking, but I still called. And I say, hey, could I speak with Darlene? They say, she's not here. Could you want to tell you who's calling? And I say, well, say her name is, they said, she's not here. To say, who's calling? Say Art calling. So after that, I wrote the number down, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. And audience, she's here with him in the studio today. So
I keep her close.
She
I keep her close.
Keeps her close, baby. When I called to confirm he was coming, she answered the phone, and she was really sweet. So congratulations.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we have 6 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you talk about whatever you've been doing in life, how you kept from getting back, doing the wrong thing, and how we can advise kids. Because, I mean, you had a good background. So how do we advise kids and scare them straight? And tell us some of the things you've been doing to support yourself.
Well, I've been doing T-shirts, custom silkscreen T-shirts, and doing music. You know, I have our own independent record label, Going All Out Records. My wife is a gospel hip-hop recording artist. Her name is Coffee. She's been on BET and MTV. I used to work at Rap A Lot Records. I was a national college radio promotions manager at Rap A Lot for a couple of years.
And this is her picture on the screen.
Yeah, that's a picture of Coffee. And I worked at Rap A Lot for a couple of years and worked my way up from the streets, from doing street promotion. This is some of the designs that we've done throughout HISD when we had our contract, you know, before it was taken from us for, you know, racial reasons or whatever, you know. But, and then we've, you know, done the Harder Street Juneteenth event years ago. It's a nonviolent event that we was doing for 10 years. And, you know, the one thing that I would like to say is, you know, just sit down and talk to the youth. And not all the time do parents have to deal with their kids from a mother and father standpoint only. Get with someone such as myself who would sit down and talk to them. Because a lot of times the youth, if you ain't walked in their shoes, I don't care what you're doing. When folks would come and visit us, Miss King, and if they had not walked in our shoes, we really weren't trying to hear nothing they were talking about.
Right.
You know, and we went to the Texas in 2011. I was up in Austin with the Texas Juvenile. We went down with the Houston Parole Board. I was there with the governor's office, and I was on program and talked about the different things that I'd done. I got a quick snapshot.
Let me just read this. This is from the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. This is big shot with the governor's seal on it. Dear Art, on behalf of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department and the youth we serve, I would like to thank you for your exemplary service as one of our most valuable mentors. We proudly present this 6-month Mentor Milestone lapel pin in recognition of your steadfast dedication to your mentee, James. Your achievement in reaching this important milestone is to be commended. Our research department has verified time and time again that being mentored at least 6 months or longer produces the most promising results among our youth. You have truly made a difference in James's life. I cannot thank you enough for your service. And this is the person that's with the Texas Juvenile Department. That is a fantastic letter and award, and you should be very proud of it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And
I'm proud of you for giving back.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And that's why I always want to just make myself available, tell my story, so I can be able to encourage the youth that and I always tell, you know, the juvenile, when I rode down there with them in 2011, they say, Art, which group of kids do you want to work with? I say, in the city of Houston, I don't care if they gang bang, whatever they doing, murderers, whatever, I dealt with them. I say, let me work with the worst of the worst. You know, I'm not scared of the youth. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, someone took a chance on me when I was dangerous and had no respect for life. So I don't have, because they're going to be able to determine, man, is art here for a show? Is art here when the camera's on? Or when is art here, you know, from his heart passionately? And so, you know, I don't have a problem being around the worst of the worst, or either the ones that maybe not so no violent. I always like dealing with our at-risk youth because I can reach them. You know, just because someone have a degree in PhD, right. Man, I can reach them from the standpoint I walked in them shoes.
Right.
You know? Right. And so that's the difference that I always strive to do and make myself available as far as, you know, from that standpoint.
In telling them your story from your standpoint that you walked in their shoes, have you been rewarded with the fact that you've changed any lives?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've had several of the youth to say, hey, Art, man, I remember you taking our time and talking to me. And I've had some of the parents call and say, man, I don't know what you said to him, but it has made a difference. One of the mentees that I was working with, he basically, when he saw me, he kind of sized me up, and he was like 6'3", 6'4". He had just came on from aggravated assault, and he said, hey, man, when I first saw you, man, I thought they was lying when they told me you was in Giddings. You went in no Giddings in 82 and 83. He said, man, Giddings was like, man, that's
a war zone.
Yeah, he said, man, when we was in Crockett and all these other places, when we were here by Giddings, it was like, man, you respect any of them boys that come from Giddings. So, you know, I've heard some stories even from the ones that I've worked with. They say, hey, man, you know, to be honest, man, I was playing a lot of games with the parole and all this stuff. He said, man, but you really reach me. And I know I can reach them because I'm going to keep it real. And like I tell people all the time, you got to be real before you keep it real. But I just don't do no faking. You know, if I'm catching some of the realest people I know, Miss King, don't have cars, they catch the bus, they regular working people. Right. They ain't the ballers and the hustlers and the players. Right. Some of the realest people I know don't have nothing. Right. You know, the have-nots of the world. So I want to be working with the folks that, I don't want to work with those that just feel that they got to live a phony life. I want to work with the real. Right. You know? Right. Right. And so that's what I'm always striving to do, make myself available to work with those who really want some results with their youth, you know? Right. And, you know, working with that risk that's my passion.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. We normally get a lot of callers, but when we don't, it's because the audience loves what they're hearing, and they do not want to interrupt that with a question. And I have to tell you, you have been extremely inspirational, encouraging, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm proud of what you and your wife have accomplished. And, you know, I'm here to serve. We do this show so that we can help kids, help at-risk youth. We will put this on YouTube. Yes, ma'am. If you have any young people that you think might come and tell their stories, because I'm doing this to leave a legacy for them. Yes, so they understand that there's life afterwards. Mm-hmm. You can get straight. It's a lot of people that will help you and encourage you to do a better job and to learn about the criminal justice system. So I'm getting the notice that it's time for us to wrap up. Our 1 hour went very quickly. Right. And I appreciate you, I respect you, and hopefully you'll come back and tell us a little bit more about your story.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for watching, and please watch next week when we bring you another great story on Truth and Justice with Vivian King. And remember, I want to tell your story. Good night. Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate real stories. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where